Dude, there's a 42-year-old fireman in Toronto that has an Instagram page and he wants to play pro hockey and he will not stop. He is a legend.
Yeah.
He posts his own, have you heard of this?
Yeah, I sure have.
The reality of it is this: he's past that window of developing into a true pro. The window is so short. Boom, you're done, gone.
My son Jeffrey looks up to him so much. They're talking during practice, you know, we're gonna work on this.
Down, rotate, snap the feet.
Jeff's ultimate goal is to hoist the Stanley Cup. He's doing quite well for being so young, and he has a long career ahead of him.
KP psych, take one, marker.
KP psych.
Sports psychology is essentially just the connection between your mind and your performance. He could benefit so much from this because you see how hard the guy trains his body. If he trains his mind to a similar level, look out.
Got a text message on Tuesday. It was from Rapid City Rush in Rapid City, South Dakota. They asked me if I wanted to come to their camp, and I was like, absolutely, like 100%. It's halfway to California. I almost just kept going.
Last one.
We're up 3,000 feet, so at a higher elevation, it's a little challenging. You know, the hardest part is not having Ash here. You know, this hasn't been easy on her either.
So if he gets signed somewhere, I know how that feels. I know how that goes. The FaceTime phone calls got a little old after a while.
It's 2 levels below the NHL, so it's pretty special to me, and I just got to take advantage of it and do everything I can in my power to get the job done right.
How do you feel that you did?
Well, I'm very hard on myself, so first 40 minutes was really good. Second 40 minutes, I was really tired. I'll be just brutally honest, I was exhausted, you know, trying to get accustomed to the altitude here and trying to keep rehydrated the last few days. And, you know, it's been a bit of a challenge, but you just have to learn how to deal with it. You gotta be able to adapt quick though, because you only have one really good shot to showcase your abilities. Tomorrow, I'll feel more confident because I've got, you know, the skate under my belt, push a little harder, pass a little harder, shoot a little harder, and then just try to make smart plays and, you know, above all else, not get injured because, you know, I had a couple good hits today and I took a few good hits and, you know, like I said, there's a lot of big bodies out there and I just don't want to get injured throughout the week.
When I turned pro, I always said to my buddies, I said, I want to play till I'm 40. You know, and they're all saying, yeah, whatever, why would you want to play till 40? I said, I just want to I want to play till I'm 40. Why not? You know, I'm a hockey player now and I'm bulletproof and I'm going to be a hockey player then, obviously, but that's not the truth. But I watched the older guys when I was young. I watched how they prepared and how they took care of their body, and that's one of the things that really, I think, let me be a player as long as I was. The NHL, everything happens faster. Passes are on the tape, not in your feet ever. You get a scoring opportunity, and if the goalie doesn't make an unbelievable save, it's in the net because the shooters are better, the goalies are better. And every league you go down, that changes. The American League is a little bit slower. Some in the American League are developing and going to be good NHL players or good American League players, but at the time, at 20, they're not. And then you go over into, you know, the KHL in Russia, and it's super skilled. In my experience, there's not much coaching. It was more get the puck and do whatever you want. In every country, there's a different style, and some players, you know, good players can't play in some countries and are good players in other countries. So it's definitely not one game, one universal game. There's a whole bunch of different games in every country. I knew Kevin before Kevin knew me. I came across him on social media and I ended up running into him and training with him a little bit, and you know, he's been on and tried out for some teams, so he's a really, really nice guy. I like Kevin, and he works hard. I don't think it has anything to do with ego. I think he wants to play at the highest level that he can play. If it was about what other people thought, he would have been done a long, long time ago. The aches at 40 hurt more than when they hurt at 20, and they take longer to go away, so you're really not playing at 100% very much. You know, I couldn't play in the American League anymore at 40, but I could play in the East Coast League. Whether I was getting slower or the game was just getting faster is for someone else to say. I want to say I wasn't getting slower, but the game is too fast for me. It's a different style of game. People say, oh, you're a smaller player, you could play this in this day and age. I couldn't skate. And if you're not big, you have to be fast. If I was running a team, there'd be no players like me on the team.
Do you consider yourself retired, or are you still?
Yeah, I'm retired, but I never announced it. Like, why would I? Like, I get why some guys do, but who cares?
Would you go back if you had an opportunity?
For sure.
Good day today. We did a lot of really fun drills. Blew a tire on the ice. I had to get my blades changed. I brought extra skate blades because of that. The ice has been really rough because of the amount of guys we have out. So guys are getting their skates done a lot. That was a good game. We had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun today.
So what kind of stuff are you gonna do differently tomorrow?
I think just, you know, the same thing in the practices, right? Like crisp passes, calling for the puck, you know, good position, trying just to play smooth. You're trying to conserve energy, right? Like everybody is expending a lot of energy out there. You know, and as an older athlete, you know, you really got to learn how to conserve your energy and play smart. And kind of strike when you get the opportunity. So you try to coast in certain areas of the ice, keep yourself open, and then when you get an opportunity, kind of dart like a, you know, when you're in Mexico or wherever, you see a little salamander and they just kind of walk and then they just dart. Try to create openings and plays. That's a fun part of the game.
So do you think you might have a shot at making the team?
I think there's a lot of qualities that Kevin has that makes him a very good candidate, but I don't know what they're thinking, and I haven't interviewed them yet. I hope to do that tomorrow, if I can, if they're willing to.
Yeah, they're not going to tell you shit, though. They won't say anything. No, they won't say a thing to Ryan. The thing is, Eddie, I have nothing to lose here, and sometimes when you have nothing to lose, right, you can be a little bit more dangerous because you have nothing to lose, right? I have nothing to lose, except my pride, right? You know, and I'm very happy, I'm very fortunate to do this, but I've got an end goal, you know, in mind, and it is what it is, right? So.
Yeah.
I realized I wanted to play pro at a young age, like almost every Canadian kid. I had that dream of playing in the NHL. I played for a ton of teams. It took me a long time to make some good money in pro. Made a good living at it, supported my family, and it's a long, hard road to make it. These small towns think you're in the NHL, and they pack their arenas. You get treated the same way. The dollars and cents are a little bit bigger in the NHL, though, from in the minors. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was my NHL, and I never stopped chasing the dream, and I just kept going for it. And I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to stop playing hockey. It was great. Takes a lot of support from the home front. My wife, my kids. You got to have a good wife as your backbone there. They get you through a lot of hard times. As I got older and got traded again, my oldest daughter kind of looked at me in my eyes, I don't want to go to another school, Daddy, right? So you can chase your dream all you want, but if you don't have that support from your home front, it doesn't work. I've been home now for probably 8 years, and I've probably retired 4 times. So I would get the call, and a lot of buddies that are coaching now in these minor pro teams, I would go up and play a game, and then back home, working all week, go up on the weekend, play a game or two, go back home, work all week. I was like what you would call old man strength as I was playing into my late 30s and early 40s, playing against kids that are 20, 21, 22, 25, 27. I was in great physical shape, but I knew I had to do that in order to have an impact and play at that level again, which I didn't mind, but I knew I had to do that because I knew my body was slowly starting to get slower, and you're just a step behind, and I didn't like that. But moving home, get a business, family, kids running around all over the place, it just kind of takes you in a different direction and takes your focus off trying to chase that dream. But the dream never dies. You just, if I could put the skates on tomorrow and play, I would. For damn sure I would tomorrow, for sure.
We are in Romeoville, Illinois now, a suburb of Chicago, and we're here for the North American Hockey League Prospect Combine. We are here so Jeff can get some exposure to some collegiate scouts.
I think if I had the opportunity, I'd definitely play here. It's really competitive hockey, and it's very comparable to the junior A leagues in Canada. But I'm kind of surprised that more Canadian players like myself don't come down here and look for new opportunities.
Do you get nervous with this kind of stuff?
Yeah, you know, I'm pretty nervous. I'm pretty excited though. It's great to get on the ice with like a new group of guys.
Everybody down there, let's go. We're gonna warm up.
I'm a little nervous for like the games because it's right off the bat, especially today. But I think I'll do fine. I'm really just here kind of for the experience. I think it's pretty cool. Usually every kid goes through what's in my head right now, every minor midget player. And this weekend, I'm really just gonna try and open up my opportunities even more, get some exposure from different scouts, get some exposure from different teams, and just to kind of see what the future holds for me.
Most players really shouldn't set their sights, especially at your age, to say I'm gonna be an NHL player. It's few and far between. Try to get a college scholarship, try to play college hockey, that's a good thing. And if you play beyond college hockey, great. Okay?
If Jeff were given the opportunity to play in the U.S., there's some pluses and minuses. Ultimately, we'd like him to play closer to home, but opportunities may be few and far between. So we're open-minded. We're going to see what they have to offer, should they offer anything.
It's a great opportunity, and every route has its paths, right? For this one, it's mostly scholarship-based. You get your schooling out of it, and you still have that backup plan to go get a job, go get a career. Not every kid who goes through college on scholarship gets to play professionally afterwards, and it's your choice if you get to do that or if not, or if you don't want to pursue it. But just to have both of those opportunities is amazing.
Whatever happens here Saturday night, if I make it, that's amazing. And you know what? They send me home, That's amazing because I'm going right back to MasterCard this week. The good thing about me coming down here is I have the confidence that I know I can hang with these caliber of players. When you're playing with a team, you'd probably be on the ice for, an hour and 15 minutes maybe. So, 2 hours of ice time a day is pretty taxing.
You talked to Ashley today?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it's been challenging on her too, right? She'll be sick of me soon enough. We'll see what happens, but it's tough being away from, family and friends, and on a little bit of holidays right now from work, so that's cool. I'm sure if I make it home, fire and ambulance will be the same. They'll have lots of calls for me like they usually do. And if I'm still here, after Saturday evening, then that'll be great too. So I love my careers as well. One isn't any more important to me than the other. Fire's not more important than ambulance. Ambulance is not more important than fire. Hockey's not more important than fire, vice versa. It's just having experienced, the things I have in life. And life's so short. Don't deprive yourself of much because, it might be over. It's going to be over before you know it. So, well, that's why we're here, and that's why I'm doing this.
What do you think you will need to accomplish before you can say, with hockey that I'm good, I've done it?
That's a great question. I don't even know. That's a really hard question for me to answer right now as I try to drive these windy roads. We might have to come back to that one at a later date.
Hey, Rapid City Rush, I think you guys might have my jock. If you find my cup, save it for me when I come back. So here I am. It was a fun camp. Amazing 5 days. And, you can't be upset about not making a team. There's a lot of hockey teams out there, and, have to look at it as a positive. I'm a better hockey player for going to the camp, a better person. I learned a lot about myself, more about the game, what I need to do to be a more effective player. It was a good week. But here we are. Been back for a couple days now and dressed up and back at her. I have an end goal and I think I can achieve it still. I have to use this as fuel. Ready? I can't think about it too much. I gotta just think forward.
Nice, comes down. Nice. Hey! Fuck. Jeez.
See, now I'm just getting tired.
Jeez.
Too much too soon.
Man.
I should have took today off. It's too much. Too much too soon.
Try again.
Everything's sore on me, Richie. I gotta be smart about this. Can't be hurting myself based on emotion because I want to be out here.
Hey! Hey!
Hey! No, just two. Hey! Just two.
Okay.
I don't have the energy, Eddie.
Okay.
I just don't have it. I didn't know how tired I was.
There he is.
How are you? Tired? Dead? I already trained this morning, so.
Are you at Ford?
Yeah.
Nice.
Marker.
Nice footwork.
Okay, take two. Marker.
How's it going, Kevin?
Good, buddy.
Good. You want to maybe talk about how this morning's training went?
I felt good today, but I didn't feel like I just couldn't get warmed up. Like I was just, everything was stiff, everything was cold. I didn't feel primed. I got out on the ice, like everything I did, I felt like the Tin Man this morning. Like I could actually really physiologically feel it, and it didn't matter what my mind told me about it. My body was like, fuck you, like this is not happening today. So it's just, it's funny sometimes, like you can tell me every trick in the book you know, and if your body's not feeling it, you just are not feeling it, right? So, I don't know. I don't even know, like maybe I just need to stop caring so much about, like at times I think sometimes if you just don't give a fuck, you might just do better. Sorry, I'm dropping a lot of F-bombs this morning. I'm pissed off. Like, I'm a fucking pro. Like in my head, I'm a pro. Like I'm an athlete and I don't mess around, and I was really like super annoyed. I could have broke my stick this morning.
Understandably so. So flow state is kind of the sports psych term behind being in the zone. And you know, as an athlete, it doesn't happen every time. When you're in this state, it's almost like Kevin Porter doesn't exist. All that exists is the hockey player, the guy that is just absolutely locked in, and just everything happens kind of just without effort.
I mean, I knew that you couldn't be in the zone all the time, right? Physical, mental burnout maybe, but like for me, it would start with preparation, right? Proper sleep, proper rest, not fighting at home with anybody or friends or thinking about outside influences, work. If Eddie brings up something not hockey related, like I actually tell him, I'm like, I don't want to talk about anything but the drills we're doing. In hockey, goals.
We've got to talk about goal setting, because goal setting really is one of the pillars of sports psychology. There's a sweet spot between your goal being so hard that it's like it's unrealistic to attain, and so easy that it's not really a challenge for you. Like you want your goal to be very challenging, but kind of like just within your reach. Because if it's too hard, it's gonna be tough to get that motivation, because it's like, well, like realistically, like, you know, this is.
But who decides that? I didn't even set a goal for myself to play in the East Coast Hockey League, and then I got a call for a tryout, right? So my goal was just to get as good as I could and to work hard, and hopefully something good would happen. And then that happened, right? My goal, like, I wouldn't say per se is to play in the American Hockey League or the NHL, but my goal would be to, you know, compete again in an East Coast Hockey League camp and get some games in.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
That's a nice balance right there, because getting games in the ECHL, that's obviously going to be tough, but also it's not so tough that it's out of your league. I'm not even saying that like the NHL and the AHL, I'm not saying that that's like too hard. I'm just saying for goal setting research, you want to identify that sweet spot and do your best to keep it in that. And I think playing well in the ECHL, that sounds to me like that's a goal. Like if you were able to do that at the end of this all, and it's like, wow, like I actually like look at my stats, like I did this, like that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Would I be content?
I don't know.
Because that was a huge motivating factor for me, going out to Rapid City and competing there and learning, you know, from the coaches, and it was like adding jet fuel to my fire, right? So, you know, even though I didn't play, you know, I was cut on the last day, like I was pretty happy with that. Like I was, you know, on the drive home, I was like, okay, that sucks, but I was more motivated than ever when I got home, and it was a good thing for me. It was a great experience, right? But and would I do anything differently? Not a chance.
Kevin is blessed with certain things, and he's got to work harder at some things that he's not blessed with. So I always say this to him, is where he lacks is the hockey knowledge at a fast pace. He can skate, he's strong, he can shoot a puck. You know, he doesn't shoot a puck like a pro. He doesn't skate like if you put Kevin out in an NHL practice, he would be behind. He's a good skater for who he is. So That's where he lacks. They say you either got it or you don't got it, and some of the things that he doesn't have will keep him from playing in the NHL. I see a serious value in Kevin. I see a serious value in him in society. He's a fireman, a paramedic. He saves lives. And I think his end result is he's going to help people with his story. Hockey's a small little portion of life. It's a sport. Unless you're playing pro, hockey doesn't pay your cell phone or your mortgage or your car or gas in the car. So let's be realistic here.
Would you hire him?
I'd hire him in a second. I'd hire him in a second because he's got enough hockey knowledge, like to go out and tell a kid, let me show you how to have some drive in life. That's a serious value. You know, I'm not saying he's going to be a head coach in junior A hockey, but man, an assistant coach to go off a guy that's been through, you know, like a real true junior A coach. And then, you know what, 4 or 5 years of Kevin watching a mentor, now he's good enough. Now he's got what it takes to be a junior A coach. And you know what, maybe what we need to do is have Kevin sit here and talk about that and not crush his dreams, but saying, Kev, we need you over here because this is 10 times more valuable than you spend in the next 5 years on doing what you're doing. When I sat in the Mighty Duck dressing room and the doctor said, Jim, I need to talk to you. It's time for you to hang up your skates. The worst thing a pro or an NHL player could ever hear. I was mortified. That was an intervention because the trainer went and got the doctor. Said, we can't do this. I can't stick a needle in the shoulder anymore. This is enough. I'm a young kid living the dream and I don't want to face the fact that it's coming to an end. I don't even want to think about it. I'm 27 years old. I remember they walked away and I started crying. I was in my equipment, I was in the Duck dressing room, I started crying. And I knew in my heart of hearts that it came to an end that day. And again, I'm not here to crush anybody's dreams, but reality's reality. So maybe we need to have a little meeting with Kev and say, listen, do what you gotta do, but it's time now to start taking your energy and helping people.